faith, spiritual values, moral issues, government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brandon House.
And welcome. Glad you are with us on this March 17th, 2025. We're going to be joined by Usama Dakdok, Shahram Hadian, and our reporter on the ground, Aaron Lavarco in Israel. Lots of news to catch up with from over the weekend. Perhaps one of the biggest stories today, right off the bat, is President Trump has declared that many of Joe Biden's pardons are null and void, as they were done by an auto pen. And there is apparently no documentation to show that he was being briefed along the way and even knew anything about it. So Liz Cheney and many others are subject to investigation at the highest levels, says President Trump out on Truth Social today. Of course, the big news also over the weekend was the strikes by the Iranian-backed Houthis by President Donald Trump. He took a round of golf and then went in to what would be his Mar-a-Lago situation room, apparently, in his golf attire to see the progress being made. I saw someone tweeted, that's exactly what I voted for, as a guy that would go do a round of golf and then check in on the airstrikes on Iranian terrorists. So there you go. So much to get to. We're going to do it as quickly as we can. But let's go first of all to Usama and Shahram. You guys will remember we have been warning about Yasser Qadi. He's now in Texas. He did lead the mosque as the imam right up the road from where I'm sitting. In fact, I went back today to look online to see how long have I been warning people about Yasser Qadi. And if you go into our archive, you'll see that I've been warning about Yasser Qadi. The first show I could find was August 11th, 2010. August 11th, 2010. So it's now 2025. That means I've been warning about Yasser Qadi for 15 years. Let me welcome all of those on social media that are now talking about Yasser Qadi. You're 15 years late, but welcome. I'm glad you're here. But this really shows us, as I get so frustrated with the people on our side, they are almost always a day late and a dollar short. They're so busy chasing the latest trend or news story. Now, we don't do that. That's why we're so far ahead of the curve, oftentimes by years, because we don't look at what everybody else is doing, because generally that's probably old news. So many people say to my wife, who handles customer support and donor relations, your network is at least 24 hours ahead of Fox News. Brandon reports on stuff, and it takes 24 hours for Fox News to catch up on so many stories. That's right. You know why? Because there's no producer between me and you. Do you understand that, listening friend? There is not a producer that stands between you and me. When it comes to Brandon House Live, the Worldview Report, Worldview Radio. Now, we have a team that helps me put together the Worldview Report newscast. But when it comes to Brandon House Live, Worldview Radio, there's no producer standing here. I pick the topics. I research the topics. I bring you those. You see, the way the news business works is you have all of these associate producers, junior producers, mid-level producers, and executive producers. And the information has to make their way through all those people until it finally gets to some meeting where they agree what they're going to talk about and then put it in the prompter for the talking head to read it. It doesn't work that way here. Oftentimes, we're breaking the news as it's actually unfolding because, and there are not many talk show hosts that do this, because they're not producing their own shows. And this is sitting with a computer off to their right that the host is constantly turning and typing into that computer and bringing up stuff live on the air, as you see me do each and every night at Brandon House Live and often here on radio/TV for Worldview Radio. We are trying to keep up with what's happening in real time. We don't want a bureaucracy to filter the news. I don't want producers. So yes, we're often 24 hours ahead of Fox News. That's a multi-billion-dollar company with thousands of employees. It's not hard to do if you cut the bureaucracy. But we're not just 24 hours ahead of these groups. Oftentimes, we're 10, 15, 20 years ahead of them. That's not bragging. It's telling you the facts. And so now all of a sudden, all of these conservatives today on social media are warning you about this imam down in Texas. Well, good. I'm glad you're here. But guess what? You're 15 years too late. Here's what I say. Get used to it. The Islamists are going to take over America. The die is cast. It will happen. It is happening. As much as I wish President Trump success, because that means success for the country, the way our system is built today and is compromised, he is going to have a very hard time dealing with the Islamic takeover of America. I'm sorry if I sound defeatist. I'm sorry if that upsets you. But like I said, the right, the conservatives, they're almost always a day late and a dollar short. They're not a day late. They're decades late. Decades. And when we were talking about it, we were conspiracy theorists. We were sensationalists. We were haters. We were Islamophobics. We were even being called that by so-called Christian ministers. Oh, these guys, they hate Muslims. They don't want to give them the gospel. Yeah. Yeah, well, good luck with that when they're raping your daughters and your granddaughters. Just tell them, hey, give them the gospel. Wrong. Wrong. Your first responsibility is to your protection. He who does not provide for his family, spiritually and physically, is worse than an infidel, an unbeliever. And so while I'm happy today to see social media, everybody parroting each other like a bunch of parrots, retweeting the same video as though they somehow stumbled on the story by themselves. No, they didn't. They saw one person put it out there, Amy Meek, who's been on this, to her credit, for a long time at the Rare Foundation. And they're grabbing that video and putting it out there as though it's their idea. No, it's not. The people on Twitter, most of them are bottom feeders and they are fakers, okay? They're fake. They're real people, but they don't do work. They just retweet other people's work with no credit. Amy Meek is the one that's been putting this information out there with the Rare Foundation for a long time. Now, I'd have to go back into her archive to see how long she's been doing this with Yasser Qadi. But you can go into our archive and find the longest one I was able to find so far is August 11th, 2010. 15 years. And guess who was rolling out the red carpet for Yasser Qadi? A seeker-sensitive church right next door. A seeker-sensitive church right next door. They were the ones rolling out the red carpet. And they were so excited, said Pastor Stone of this so-called church right down the road from our studio, was so excited to have this mosque coming in. And by the way, I have to give credit on this one. FoxNews.com did cover this in print. I don't think they covered it on TV. I'm not aware they ever covered it on television, but in print, to their credit, Fox News did talk about Yasser Qadi in 2010. And he talked about the fact that they talked about this mosque being built next to this church. But I don't know why they wouldn't go and put it on television. I don't ever remember them doing that on TV. And the reality is, I do find some really good articles on FoxNews.com in print, but for some reason, it doesn't often make it to television or radio. But they did report on Pastor Stone and his church, whatever it was called, Love Church or something. It was a seeker-sensitive church. And they were so excited that they're going to have this imam next door, the imam that said that Christians and Jews can be killed in jihad. That the Holocaust was faked. Well, again, when we tried pointing that out, we were being criticized. Remember, we were talking about the need to deport these people. In 2010, 2010, in that radio show in 2010, I went back and listened to some of it today. 15 years ago in that radio show, I was saying we need to round up these illegal aliens, these Islamists, and deport them. I was getting pushback from conservatives and Christians who were saying, how can you deport people that have been here for 20 years? I'm like, that's 20 years of breaking the law. That's 20 years of squatting. That's 20 years of not paying taxes, more than likely. That's 20 years of doing business under the table to the detriment of the businesses that pay the unemployment tax and the workers' comp. Yeah, I wouldn't listen to the show again. I was getting some pushback from Christians and conservatives because I was saying we need to deport these people. I don't care if they've been here 20 years or 25, 30, 40 years. They came here illegally. They're lawbreakers. They need to go. And all we have done is allow these Islamists to get a root. And now, whether they came here legally or illegally, they need to go. And Yasser Qadi, who I've been warning about since 2010, is now left our area. And don't forget the fact that he was, well, as I wrote in the description in 2010, he had Al-Qaeda, Yasser Qadi's Institute has on its list of alumni the underwear bomber. Remember the underwear bomber? That's what I reported in 2010. This guy brought Asaj Wahaj, an unindicted co-conspirator of the bombing of the World Trade Center, to his mosque a few miles down the road from my home, where I live. Nobody cared. We screamed, we hollered, nobody cared. Now they're shocked that this imam is upped and moved to Plano, Texas, and is building a 402-acre compound. Not to mention, they have one in New Jersey now, where they're saying it's going to be the headquarters of the Palestine, the Palestinians. It'll be their American capital. Conservatives, if you were busy reading a book, busy reading multiple books, not following the herd, and following people that actually are students versus people that are internet, what do we call them, Logan? The people on Twitter. What are these people that are just out there? Clickbait. They're clickbait. I see some of these so-called conservatives, they never have a book. They've never written a book. They don't produce documentaries. They don't do scholarly work and research. They're there for clickbait on social media. This is who the average conservative in America follows today. Clickbait queens. And you wonder why we're always behind. Most Americans are getting their information from people interested in numbers and clickbait. They are not serious scholars, authors, journalists, researchers. And we're never going to win until we stop being immature and foolish and trying to be popular. I don't care about popularity. I'm interested in getting out as much truth as I can. And what really blows my mind is how so many of these people have become popular despite their amazing foul language on the air. Where have the standards gone for broadcasting and broadcasters? That's a big part of the problem. We'll be right back. We're not changing courses now. We are who we are. We're committed to the truth that we are committed to. Worldview Tube is a broadcast network that I started in 2006, but it's based on my 35 years as an author and speaker and commentator. Worldview Tube is here to defend the truth of a Christian worldview. And we believe we can apply it to all areas of life, like law, science, economics, history, family, social issues, education, religion, major issues.
At worldviewtube.com, we provide news from around the globe that isn't typically covered by mainstream media. Visit worldviewtube.com to watch our experts and analysts discuss all your favorite topics on our 24/7 live stream. Explore our extensive collection of unfiltered and uncensored content from 35 years of production. Go to worldviewtube.com today. Also find us on all of these major platforms and download our Worldview Tube mobile app.
right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. I want to just tell you real quick, we did put up last night's church service where I finished up on Revelation chapter 13, and it's at worldviewtube.com. I also have an article on that study last night that you can read about. Maybe you're like, I don't have time to listen to the whole thing. Okay, well, at least maybe read the article. It's at worldviewtimes.com, worldviewtimes.com. We're cranking out so many articles a day now, worldviewtimes.com. But last night, I picked it up with Revelation chapter 13, verse 15, and finished the rest of the chapter, which deals with the false prophet, the second beast to come up out of the earth, versus the first beast, the Antichrist, coming up out of the sea, and the false prophet that sets up an image in the temple to speak words of blasphemy. I think what you're going to find fascinating, folks, is a quick word study that I did, verse 15, and it was given to him, the false prophet, to give breath to the image of the beast. And that word breath, you know what it means in the original language? It can mean spirit, as in a demonic spirit. I did a word study last night that any layperson like myself can do. If I can do it, you can do it. And I showed you how to go to BibleHub.com, put in a verse, and find out what the word in the original means, because sometimes the word doesn't translate real well in the English, like the word breath. And when we do a word study, going also back to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, where God creates Adam and uses breath. And then we go over to Acts 19, Acts 16, where the apostles are dealing with demonic people and spirits. Guess what the word for spirits is? It's that same word coming out of the Greek in Strong's Concordance that can denote breath, spirit, demonic spirits. So I think Revelation 13, verse 15, and it was given to the false prophet the power to give breath to the images. It was given power to him to give a spirit to the image, a demonic spirit. How will the world be intrigued by artificial intelligence and robots, which I show you a lot of videos last night on that too? How will they be impressed by that, to worship that? Because I don't think it's really at the end of the day going to be a robot or artificial intelligence. It's going to be probably a high-ranking demon that, by the power of Satan and the Antichrist, given to the false prophet, will put a spirit or breath, a demonic spirit, into the image. Do an amazing study, I think, last night, looking at this, including the mark of the beast. And by the way, you will not take the mark of the beast by mistake. Many people fear that. You will not. I explain in great detail why you will never take the mark of the beast by mistake, listening friends. And if you're a Christian, I don't believe you'll be here during that period. But for those that are, should I leave tomorrow along with the rest of the church, know this: you will not have to worry about taking the mark by mistake, but you better worry about not taking it, because Revelation 14 says once you do, you are condemned to eternity of condemnation. Fascinating, I think, last night. Hope you'll find it. Worldviewtube.com. Worldviewtube.com. Joining me now is Usama Dakdak, Sharam Hadian, and Aaron Lavarco, our reporter out of Israel. Gentlemen, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you, Brandon.
Okay, I want to go to, particularly right away, Usama and Sharam. Will you comment on the fact that we've been warning about Yasser Qadhi since 2010? I have. Others maybe have been doing it longer. But all of a sudden today on social media, a lot of these people are going viral about Yasser Qadhi. I'm like, where have you guys been? Why did we let this guy rise up to the point where he can build a 402-acre spot? Because conservatives, most of the conservatives are simpletons, okay? If you want to get a big following, be an inch deep and a mile wide. That's why these big seeker-sensitive churches are big. They're an inch deep and a mile wide, and they're a spiritual salve for people's conscience and justifying their condition. Same thing with talk radio and television. You want a big audience, be an inch deep and a mile wide. But I've always said, I'm not interested in a big audience. I'm interested in an educated audience, or people that want to be educated. And that's oftentimes self-educated, not by degrees. Those are some of the smartest people around, self-educated, right? So we always seem to wait so long, Sharam, you go first, and let a guy like this now build 402 acres. Why were people not joining me in 2010 and you and I and Usama in 2017 when we warned about this guy? Shahram?
Well, Brandon, I agree with you 100%, and I think two reasons. Number one, you said it, you're not worried about building a big audience. I think these ministries that are on the screen right now, we're not worried about a big audience because, as you said, I've told my wife many times, if I go, like you just said, an inch deep, I could probably get a bigger audience.
Oh, yeah.
But we're focused on the truth. We're focused on exposing what needs to be exposed. We're focused on equipping people and fighting for our freedoms and our liberties and our nation. And because of that, we're willing to do the tough thing, which has brought much condemnation, ire. Here's the second reason I believe that they're so far behind. And that is, again, for me as a pastor, I go back to the responsibility of the church. Thank you, James White. Thank you, Justin Peters. Thank you, Phil Johnson. Thank you for all of those, Russell Moore. Thank you for all of those evangelicals that have held the coattails of the Muslims, of the Islamic movement in America, and they have not only defended the Muslims, but they have attacked us. Now we are reaping what we sow, and they're responsible. This is on their heads. And what you said earlier in your introduction about what is facing America once these enclaves like this 402-acre epic city is built, because I don't see it being stopped, personally, Brandon.
So you agree with me when I said the die is cast, Islam will take over America. You agree?
Absolutely, because historically, there's only one way that you can push Islam back, and that is through war. So I don't see the will in this country for us to say, we're going to actually take up arms once they're killing us. I'm not talking about preemptively. I'm saying once they're attacking us, once they're coming after and raping our daughters or women like we see in Western Europe, there's only one way historically that Islam has ever been pushed back, and that is through warfare. So unless we're going to have a massive awakening in the church to actually preach the gospel to these Muslims, which also I don't see because of all the placating of the likes of, Yasser Qadhi or the likes of James White and these people and all the evangelicals and mainline denominations that are advocating for interfaith and multi-faith and all this nonsense that is not preaching the true gospel. There's only that, either that way or warfare. So do you see the will in this country to, like you said, we're too simple, we're too nice, like in Minnesota, where I've been so many times, where, we're Minnesota nice. Yeah, you're getting taken over, and let's see how nice you are when it's too late. So I agree with you 100%. I think the cast has already been dyed.
Okay, I want to go real quick, and I'm going to get a response from Usama. I want to go to Yasser Qadhi. This is the clip that so many people are putting out today. This is why it's back on our radar, because the conservative world, so-called, on social media is all up in arms that this imam building this 402-acre compound and announcing more is upset. He's defending the student in Colombia that has been involved in these anti-Semite rallies, and he's tied, I guess, apparently a pro-Hamas Palestinian PLO-loving individual, and President Trump wants to deport him. Well, Yasser Qadhi is calling for the Muslims to rise up. Listen.
As you're aware, has carte blanche decided a particular person, a Muslim, a Palestinian, does not have the rights that everybody else does. No court of law, no system, no jury. The president's signature has arrested a legal green card citizen for protesting against Israel and for supporting the rights of the Palestinians. And again, if you feel this is not appropriate, I disagree with you, because this deals with me and you right here and now. If he's allowed to get away with this, the next is going to be naturalized citizens. How many of you are naturalized citizens? As we speak right now, this case is going to be a litmus test for what follows. The fact of the matter, and I'm sorry to be blunt, but we don't have time for political correctness. The majority of us are disconnected from what is going on. We feel that's not going to affect us. No! History has shown, even the ups and downs of this country have shown, if we don't rally together, if we don't make sure that all of us have the same freedoms, what is happening is blatantly unconstitutional. For 200 years, the Supreme Court has...
Okay, so all of a sudden, Yasser Qadhi is concerned about the Constitution. He wants it overthrown anyway. He's for Sharia, okay? And now he's, the poor Constitution. Let me tell you, Yasser Qadi and everybody in his mosque, I don't care if you were born here, you should be deported. You should probably be sent to Guantanamo Bay. This is a guy that has made partnership with the unindicted co-conspirator of the bombing of the World Trade Center, Awash Wahaj, who has called for jihad even with a knife if you have to. Okay? I think every one of them in his mosque, including him, should be deported. I don't care if they're born here or not. Usama?
Here's the deal, Brandon. I think they are taking a great advantage of the American people from day one of the ignorancy of what Islam is all about. If you think about it, when James White call us haters and call me Osama bin Laden, even though my name is Usama Dakhtov, not bin Laden, we got the video to show it to the world if you want to see it. It is reality because James White is so ignorant of the Quran, so is the rest of the media in America. What Imam teach in the mosque, what the teachers teach in the Muslim schools in America should be the ticket to remove all Muslims out of America. They, the American people, do not know what the Quran teaches. It is not about building some homes. It's about what these Muslims believe who is going to be living in these homes. They believe in the annihilation of Israel and the removal of the Christian from the faith of the earth. And that's why it is unconstitutional for any Muslim to live in America. If you go to the mosque, not just Imam Yasser Qadi, I talk about every Muslim Imam in America, they teach a book is called the Quran. 99.9999% of the American people did not bother to read. I translated accurately to the English language. Hopefully that millions of the Americans will be getting my copy and read and learn about what Muslims believe, what Imam teach in our public schools, in our mosque, what Muslims teach in our public schools, and even what they teach specifically in their Islamic schools. Well, guess what? We have not even sold 100,000 copies. That is not even a fraction of how many people in America need to learn about Islam. So, in simple words, these imams can continue to teach whatever they want to teach because American people do not know what is in their heart, what is their ideology, what they believe. So he said he does not have time for political correctness. It is political correctness who helped him to continue to exist in this country until today because of people who supported him, people who make him and his savage ideology, the ideology of Islam, to be acceptable in America. After all, now we all learn in America from the days of September 11 until today that they are radicals and they're extremists and they're wonderful Muslims. Who are the radicals? Oh, these are the Islamists, made up word. No, Imam Yasser Qadi and every Muslim Imam in America is a radical. Why? Because they believe in the Quran. Why? Because the Quran teaches to kill all the Jews and all the Christians, which Allah in the Quran called the people of the book. Investigate the word, the people of the book, Ahlul Kitab, in the Quran, Quran 9:29, to engage in war with the Jews and the Christians. I mean, literally, what else do you need more than that? A clear verse in the Quran teach Muslims to engage in war with Jews and the Christians, and we allow them to build homes in America, to build schools in America. What's he going to do? They're going to make a jihadi movement within inside America? God help us, Brandon. God help us.
And I want so you agree the music's playing, but you agree, Usama, the die is cast. Islam will take over America.
100%. Not only we told them about what's happening today, 15 years ago, here's what's happening in the near future. Muslims will take over the entire country.
Yep, they will, but everybody says America's back. It's back. Don't you know, Brandon? Chill. We'll be right back. Hello, I'm Brandon House. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHouseBG.com. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Apparently, when they put out the tweet today, they tagged Yasser Qadi, gentlemen. I was just told during the break. So Yasser, he may be listening and watching. There you go. Let's go get a response from our reporter on the ground in Israel, Aaron Lavarco, brought to you by our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com. Aaron, America has not learned what Israel has learned. And not that all of your citizens have learned it. I have a news story to show you and get a response. Look at this from Pamela Geller. Hamas deliberately targeted pro-Gaza peace activists for slaughter on October 7th. Listening, friends, these were those liberals I've been telling you about. These were the interfaith dialogue, social justice people in their kibbutz I was telling you about. Here is what one of the tweets says as it pops up here. Okay. It's a picture of this lady hugging an Islamic lady in her hijab. Okay? You will never understand this conflict without understanding that on October 4th, 2023, women from the kibbutz Be'eri attended a peace conference for Israeli and Palestinian women. Okay, that was on October 4th, guys. On October 7th, Hamas reportedly used an attendee list to hunt down these women and murder them. Sheikh Haran explained this in an interview, how Hamas deliberately targeted peace activists on the kibbutz Be'eri during their attack. There is no hopeful future for Israeli and Palestinians if Hamas is in it. This terror must end, end quote. Well, we could have told you that, and anyone else that wanted to read their charter. Because Hamas has said in their charter that all agreements and peace deals and whatever else is a waste of time. The only solution is the eradication of the Jewish people. But Aaron, here is a Jewish lady, lived in the kibbutz, doing the old kumbaya interfaith thing with a Hamas woman in her hijab. And what did it get her? Apparently she got murdered. Or certainly women in that kibbutz were targeted by Hamas. All the left-wingers, all you so-called Christians, all you people saying Islam is not a spiritual threat to the church, that this is how you do evangelism. Your names are likely on a list, and they actually disrespect you so much and see you as so weak that they're coming for you first, apparently. Can you comment on this, Aaron? Why would they pick these people first?
Because they smelt a weakness. They sensed a weakness. It's like the Iranian regime. Everyone knows they're building a nuclear weapon. Everyone knows that. It's not a secret. In other words, they've got their gun pointed right at Israel and right at America. So what are we going to do? Are we going to try and be nice and say, look, please don't pull the trigger? And it's good to be nice. It's good to be loving. It's good to try and use dialogue and try to use politics. That's the best and first line of response. But how long do you do that, Brandon? How long do you wait? Do you wait until they've got that weapon and then it's too late? Or do you have the will and the foresight and the wisdom to act out of self-defense and deterrence? Deterrence is a form of self-defense, and deterrence usually means you've got to act. Now, the problem is people's wills. They're not strong enough. Look, even Bibi, even Trump, right now as we're talking, they are deliberating exactly what we're talking about. They are trying all they can. Again, Trump today warned the Iranian regime. He's warned the Houthis. Don't do it. He's doing everything he can. But you cannot go along forever like that with these kind of people. That was our mistake before October the 7th. We were, especially the left-wing peaceniks, They tried, they were peaceful, they were hopeful, they were optimistic, and all of those are virtues. But they weren't plugged in. They didn't have their ears and eyes open. And I think what Sharham said is the most important thing. Historically, these people, you cannot talk and dialogue. They are on a mission. They are not just Muslims, they are jihadists. They have a goal, and we've got to know about it, and therefore we cannot wait until it's too late. We've got to use deterrence, which actually means proactivity.
Look at this. So this person, Moy Mids, says, I volunteered in kibbutz Meth-Falsim for some months. I can attest that it was common practice in the kibbutz to go to Gaza on their free time and drive children to the hospital in Beersheba, wait for the treatment, and return them back home. These are the people targeted by Hamas.
Yeah, Brennan, look, one of the other things, and it needs to be said if people don't know it, is we were severely betrayed. Because let's not forget, the Arab people, they're our cousins. Jacob and Esau, they were brothers. Isaac and Ishmael, they were brothers. We're cousins. And we want to try and get on. And there are genuinely some beautiful Arab people that live in Israel and among the Palestinian people, no question about it. And there are good friendships. I work with a lot of Arab bus drivers, but there's always that question mark. Are they going to betray? Are they going to put their religion first? And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, the spiritual ramifications of following a false prophet. Either he is the true prophet or he's not. Either he's the last or Jesus is the last. They both claim that they are the last. Jesus said, I'm the first and I'm the last. And he lived about 40 years before Muhammad. So they both cannot be the last. So there are spiritual ramifications. So
let me ask you this, Aaron. Let's bring it up to this weekend. Houthi strikes. President Trump comes off the golf course, watches these Iranian-backed Houthis getting targeted. Now Iran is out there. Yemeni Houthi official Mohammed al-Bakahadi responds to U.S. military attacks. We will retaliate against American targets, meet escalation with escalation. Apparently, we're also getting comments being made by the one of the leaders in Iran as well. In my news somewhere along in here, I'll have it and show it to you. But here it is. Iranian regime leader Khomeini, quote, no negotiations with the U.S. America can't stop Iran from getting nukes if it chooses. Sanctions are ineffective, end quote. Tell me about this weekend, why it's important, what it means.
Well, we've been waiting for this. We didn't see this happen under the Biden administration. And thankfully, now we're seeing a strong arm. And I'm telling you, Trump is hitting hard. He's hitting massively. He's not going to back down. He started this now. He's finally retaliated with force. Now, not only are the Houthis threatening, the Iranians are threatening. And I read about an hour ago, Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, has threatened, or rather not threatened, but he's told Trump, stop. And I don't know why. I was wondering why he said that. Maybe he's afraid of a third world war, number one. Number two, Russia provide the Iranians with all these drones, and probably the Iranians are providing the Houthis with these drones. So we talked about this the other night. From our perspective, thank God someone with the power of the United States is finally doing something. And I just hope he doesn't stop. I hope he crushes the Houthis, and he's threatened to do that. So let's see how the Houthis respond. But it's all on. It's all on. And of course, we're down in our south. We're on high alert, waiting for the Houthis to try and hit us. But the Americans with all their Navy and their Air Force, they are in big time. So it's good to see.
Look at what President Trump this weekend put out on True Social. Let nobody be fooled. The hundreds of attacks being made by Houthi, the sinister mobsters and thugs based in Yemen who are hated by the Yemeni people, all emanate from and are created by Iran. Any further attack or retaliation by the Houthis will be met with great force, and there is no guarantee that the force will stop there. Iran has played the innocent victim of rogue terrorists from which they've lost control, but they haven't lost control. They're dictating every move, giving them the weapons, supplying them with money, and highly sophisticated military equipment, and even so-called intelligence. Every shot fired by the Houthis will be looked upon from this point forward as being a shot fired from the weapons and leadership of Iran, and Iran will be held responsible and suffer the consequences, and those consequences will be dire. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. Shahram, tell me your thoughts.
Well, like Aaron said, I appreciate those words. I think that those are proper words from the United States to be able to hold the mullahs, the ayatollahs in Iran responsible for the destabilizing that is going on, especially with Yemen, especially with Qatar, also with Qatar, because let's not forget that those were forces that were probably responsible or participated in the planning and the carrying out of the October 7th attacks in Israel. So from what I'm hearing on the ground, the Iranian people are also welcoming this. So that's the disconnect here, is the disconnect between the regime and the people. The Iranian people have for a long time welcomed a direct frontal assault, strategically I'm talking about, strategic attacks against the regime in Iran, against Khamenei and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. So I appreciate those words. And just as Trump took out Qasem Soleimani in 2020 with a strategic hit, which did set back the IRGC in Iran quite a bit, that shook up their structure, I think this is the way to go. Very targeted, first with the proxies. Of course, Israel helped a lot with Hezbollah in Lebanon, and now taking out Yemen. But one word of caution, this is why, Brandon, I mentioned to you, the problem with Steve Witkoff, the problem with his envoys is, remember, they are to some extent beholden to the Qataris. And so you got to deal with these Arab nations like Qatar trying to manipulate the West, and you have to deal with the proxies before you get to the mothership, which is in Iran. Of course, nobody wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon, and the Iranian people are sick of this regime. So I think this is welcomed, but it's got to be very measured and strategic, and it will cause more suffering because the Iranian regime is using all the money to fund their terror proxies, their jihadist proxies, rather than feeding their own people.
All right, come back from the break. Hamas-linked care got over, $7 million? $7 million from U.S. taxpayers. Are you guys reading this story today too?
We are, yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Is this why we get up every day and work hard, listening friends, to pay federal taxes worth over $7 million going to Hamas? I mean, this has got to end.
Brandon,
yeah?
Nihad Awad connected to Yasser Qadi.
Okay, hold right there, guys. Hold right there. We'll get a response from all three. We come back. Don't go away. Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at wvwfoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. All right, let's go to you, Shahram. What were you saying? I mean, here we have $7 million going to CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations. That's Muslim Brotherhood, 1928, which started Hamas, 1987, which started CARE in 1994. $7 million goes to them in taxpayer money, according to this latest article by Robert Spencer of Jihad Watch, who I had on Friday, I believe. Shahram, comment, please.
$1 million was going to CARE California. So it was supposed to go to their California branch. Somehow it made it to CARE Los Angeles, their Los Angeles affiliation. And predominantly this money is for resettlement. So all of a sudden now CARE is resettling refugees. And Brandon, I just sent you an email. I don't know if you'll get it in time, but there was a Roman Catholic bishop in Europe that made a very courageous and bold statement about the invasion right there. There you go, of what's going on in Europe. And so this is what we are funding. So whether we are directly or indirectly funding the refugee resettlement scam, that is a multi-billion-dollar industry in this nation with the likes of World Relief, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. But now we find out, oh, CARE was getting money. CARE is getting government money to resettle Muslims to this country. And now the 7.2 million is unaccounted for because by law, it was supposed to go to one entity and it goes to another entity of them in California. This is a seditious group. This is a treasonous group. By the words of the explanatory memorandum itself, their words are they're going to sabotage our house and destroy it. I don't know how much more sedition you can. And as Osama said earlier, any Muslim that is advocating for public Islam, mandating Sharia in any way, public accommodation for Islam in this country, I don't care if they're a naturalized citizen or not, ought to be tried and removed from this country because it is incompatible with the Constitution. It's laughable that Yasser Qadhi, Brandon, is now going to espouse the Constitution when what I was saying earlier was Yasser Qadhi and Nihad Awad, the head of CARE, are deeply intertwined. Yasser Qadhi is an upper echelon member of the Muslim Brotherhood in America. Sure. He's simply doing their bidding.
Usama?
It's very simple, Brennan. If we can educate the American people to know what is in the Quran, what Muslims really believe, their ideology, which is a savage cult, then we can do a very simple vetting to all the Muslims who live in America. Do you believe in the Quran? Yes. You're a Muslim? Yes. Out. Out. There's no second thought of it. I mean, you can call it aid, you can call it. Let me ask a question, Brennan. Can you start a ministry? We call it Worldview Syrian Refugee Fund. Can you get millions of the American tax dollars to bring refugees, Christian refugees, right now from Syria to America?
I highly doubt it.
You will never get a dime. They may lock you up in jail if you even think about doing that. But CARE can get millions of dollars to bring Hamas, jihadi to America? What is wrong with this country? Literally, the scripture is 100% true. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. We've become so stupid that we do not even know what to do. We're digging graves by our own hands, by our own shovels, by our own money to bury our own children and grandchildren in this country.
Well, I will say that if the Lord does not return, or doesn't bring home his church soon, I believe that we have 4 years or less for Christians to prepare. And I'm talking about preparing the safety of your home, where we're talking safe rooms, getting what you need when it comes to your Second Amendment, putting away food and water. Because I'm telling you right now, the door-to-door hunting of Christians and Jews is going to happen in America. I don't know if it's going to happen while the church is here. I do know it's going to happen during the tribulation where many believers, Jews and Gentiles, will be hunted. I know that. The Bible's very clear. But would you be advising, Aaron, Christians in America to be preparing now while we have the time to prepare safe rooms and secure their homes? Because look, the people in Israel that supposedly were ready when it came to October 7th were not ready. If the Lord does not bring the church home soon, I'm telling you now, these people will be going door to door. They're already saying it in the communist crowd. I'm reporting on it tonight at the Worldview Report. They're talking about hunting down Trump people and supporters. Do you think the red green axis isn't got a list? We know that they had a map at one point with a bunch of us on it. Do you think, Aaron, Christians and Jews in America better be preparing their homes as places of shelter and safety? Because I guarantee you, you can't count on your local police department and sheriff departments. Period. End of story. What say you as a warning to Americans, Aaron?
Absolutely. You know, as you were talking, I was thinking 1 Corinthians 14:8, Paul says, if the trumpet does not sound a clear call, the people will not gather for battle. We have got to blow the shofar, the trumpet. That's what we're doing here. We need wisdom to know how to blow it, where to blow it, when to blow it. We've got to be loud. We've got to be clear. And it's like our brother said, my people are destroyed through lack of knowledge. We need to educate. We need to let people know, quote passages from the Quran, what they say. You know, I was listening to Marco Rubio today, your Secretary of State. He was being criticized for wanting to extradite these people from America. And he was saying, we're not throwing them out for freedom of speech. It's not a matter of freedom of speech. These people, they are bullies. They are taking over. They are destroying universities and classrooms. They are burning places. This is beyond freedom of speech. This is bullying. This is incitement. So wake up, everyone. 100%. Look, I think we've got we've got our responsibility here. What we're doing here, it's a huge responsibility, and I hope that people that are listening feel and sense that urgency of the hour. I'm saying it's a matter of life and death. It really is. The handwriting is on the wall.
Yeah, indeed it is.
Hey,
and
Brandon,
folks, yeah.
Sorry, just real quick. Agree with what Aaron said as well. I was a green card holder, right, before I became a citizen. So just to address back to Yasser Qadhi and his opining about Mahmoud Khalil and he's deporting all of us. When you are under a green card, a resident alien, your commitment is you're not going to do anything to harm the country that you're in, the United States, period. He is calling for hating America, supporting Hamas, that's sedition, period. End of story. It is a just removal of this person from the country, period.
Absolutely. These guys will be back with me on Brandon House Live tonight. In the meantime, stay tuned for Jim Schneider and Crosstalk at vcy.org. Get registered April 15th. We're coming to Milwaukee, worldviewtube.com/events. Take care. And we're back on our station, WROS, out of Jacksonville, Florida, and here on Worldview Tube. Great point you made right there, Usama or Shahram. These people are complaining, but I didn't know that. You were a green card holder at one time before you became a citizen. You're saying they've already violated their contract. They breached the contract. Time to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a conditional contract. When you are here as a resident alien, it's a conditional contract because there's lots of things you have to meet, including you're going to come here, you're not going to be on a welfare state, you're going to be a productive citizen. But one of the things is that you're not going to do anything that is against the government and the laws of this country. So they do not have a blanket immunity for freedom of speech when the freedom of speech is calling for the overthrow of the country, the hatred of America, death to America. 60% of the students at Columbia are international students. So every one of them, if you're an international student, should get their visas revoked if they're wearing the keffiyeh and supporting Hamas. But the ones who are, to Yasser Qadhi's point, who are, even if you're a naturalized citizen, you can have your citizenship revoked if you are found to be seditious. One of the things that, just very quickly, as a former police officer, what you're also going to see with Yasser Qadhi's Epic City, his Islamic, East Plano Islamic Center that they're building in Josephine, Texas, is law enforcement is willfully ignorant, as you and I found out very well in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, when they could not recognize a jihadi Muslim from Saudi Arabia threatening the event there, that they're going to be dealing with Sharia crimes in this city. They're going to be dealing with rapes, with honor crimes. They're going to be dealing with domestic violence, as I had to deal with when I was a police officer, where the Muslim guy is telling me, look, in my country, I can hit my wife. Well, sir, you're in America. Turn around. You're under arrest. That's what I had to do to a couple of Muslims in my city when I was a police officer. So we are willfully ignorant of what is facing us just in these enclaves that Yasser Qadhi is protecting. No, absolutely, there is the right and the ability to not only remove someone who's a resident alien, but also someone who's a naturalized citizen, because you broke your contract. You broke your contract, period.
Very well said. Usama and Shahram and Aaron, I'm going to have you guys on tonight on Brain House Live. And in the meantime, if you guys could just research real quick, Greg Abbott. I want to address Greg Abbott tonight. Where has he been on interfaith dialogue? And when I say America is going to be taken over by the Islamists, one reason why is if you cannot get rid of a 402-acre compound that's going to do Sharia in Texas, if you can build all these DHS humongous centers for illegal immigrants to be held in, as we have the drone footage for, Texas, I would not move to Texas. I'm sorry to all my friends in Texas. When we looked at Texas to get out of Minnesota and come back to the South where I'm from, I said to my, there's no way I'm going to Texas. It's been infiltrated. Okay, it's too close to the border, number one, because if there's an invasion that comes over the border, it's going to be there, obviously. Now you have China down there in Texas. You have the drug cartel in Texas. Not that they're not in Minnesota, in Tennessee and other places, but I'm not going to go to Texas. I'm not saying Tennessee's perfect, but I'll tell you this. Greg Abbott is about as useful as a pitcher of warm spit, in my opinion. Has he done a few good things? Sure. But if you can build this compound in Texas, I'm telling you, you can do it anywhere. I thought Texas was a don't tread on me state. They got a moron for a governor. He's a wimp and a moron, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Usama?
Yeah, Brandon, I was going to say, it's not the problem is going to be Texas. The problem is going to be the 50th state of the United States of America. Because if you can put your foot in a big state, a conservative state like Texas, I can do the same thing in Tennessee. I can do anything anywhere else. And by the way, Muslims work in unity. That all we need to do, we need 100,000 Muslims to move to that county in that state. And I guarantee you, there will be plenty of volunteers, and there will be 100,000 in your neighborhood, in your backyard, from all over the 50 states of the United States of America. We got millions of Muslims in America. They're here for one purpose, and one purpose only. It is to invade America. So say, for the sake of Allah, jihad was traveling, jihad was immigration from one city to another, from one county to another, from one state to another. I promise you, you will get 100,000 Muslims in your backyard in Tennessee, and they will build that community again and again and again all over America.
Well, you had a guy that did an honor killing in Texas, and I don't know how many years of Greg Abbott was a governor at that time, but this guy was hiding in plain view for 12 years.
And nobody caught him. And it's so amazing. He was not hiding in a corner. I bet you that guy used to go to the mosque every Friday. Why? Because the Muslims of Texas did not see anything of he did wrong when he killed his own two daughters. As Roger Shahram was just saying a minute ago, in Islam, it's okay to beat your wife. In Islam, it's okay to literally kill your own daughters or your son if they dishonor Allah, dishonor Islam. I mean, think about it. If they can do that to their children, what these things they're going to do to our children, to our daughters, to our granddaughters in this country. That's why it is very important to learn the truth about Islam.
Go ahead, Shahram.
Well, and let's not forget that their front group, CARE, part of what CARE does, the Council of American Islamic Relations, is that CARE is advising their Muslim community, do not cooperate with law enforcement. So why would this guy be in hiding for 12 years in Texas? It is because not only according to Islamic law is it is it permissible to lie and to not support the government of the country you're in? But it is in some cases mandatory to do so. So CARE is advising, do not support law enforcement. So just imagine what this is going to look like once this epic city is built with 402 acres and a park and a mosque and Islamic schools and the Islamic Center. And by the way, the one in Lino Lakes, Brandon, that I'm fighting is called a Muslim-centric city. They called it themselves a Muslim-centric city.
Wow. Hold right there. tillministry.com, lighttothenationsministry.com, and thestraightway.org. Aaron, you're going to join us tonight with these two gentlemen. We're going to do a quick overview of what's been going on for Brandon House Live and to give the warning to Americans. It's time to quit being so many decades behind. I'm Brandon House. Thanks for watching. Take care.